Commander Zephyr Thane stood on the bridge of his observation ship, watching the humans work. Through the large window, he could see their small mining vessels moving slowly between the asteroids. The ships looked old and simple compared to his own vessel. Their metal hulls were scratched and dented from years of hard work. "Look at them," said his second officer, pointing at the human ships. "They move like insects." "So slow and careful," Zephyr nodded. The humans had been given this sector of space 200 years ago. Back then, the Galactic Council had been feeling generous. The ancient Valdari Empire and the powerful Krex Confederacy had decided to share some basic technology with the primitive Earth species. They gave humans simple, faster-than-light travel and told them they could settle in the Outer Rim. Of course, the Outer Rim was mostly worthless. Dead planets that could not support life, asteroid fields full of common metals, gas giants with poisonous atmospheres. The Council had given humans the parts of the galaxy that nobody else wanted. "Sir, we are receiving their daily mining report," said the communications officer. "Put it on screen," Zephyr ordered. A human face appeared on the display. The man looked tired and had dirt on his clothes. "This is Captain Williams of Mining Station 7. Today we collected 43 tons of iron ore and 12 tons of copper. Same as yesterday." Zephyr turned off the display without responding. The humans always sent these boring reports. They had been mining the same asteroids for decades. Their progress was so slow that it barely registered on galactic economic charts. "I do not understand why the Council bothers to watch them," his second officer said. "They are no threat to anyone." Zephyr had to agree. In his 50 years of service, he had seen many species rise and fall. The humans were different. They did not try to build great armies or expand quickly into new territories. They just worked quietly in their assigned sector, mining rocks and building small colonies. The latest intelligence reports were clear. Humanity had spread to about 200 star systems in the past 2 centuries. For most species, that would be considered very slow growth. The Krex could conquer 200 systems in 20 years when they put their minds to it. "The humans are rated as Category 7, Zephyr told his officer. "Intelligent but not advanced. They might become moderately important in another 500 years. The Galactic Council had 43 different species. Humans ranked 37th in military power and 39th in technology. They were useful for dangerous mining work because they seemed willing to do jobs that other species found too risky or boring. Zephyr had visited human colonies before. They were always the same. Small cities built into asteroid surfaces or on the dark sides of moons. The humans lived simple lives, focusing on their families and their work. They rarely asked for advanced technology or tried to make deals with other species. "Sir, there is something strange," said the sensor operator. "What is it?" "I am detecting some unusual gravity readings from the outer edge of this system. But when I focus the sensors on that area, there is nothing there." Zephyr frowned. "Run a full diagnostic on the sensor array." "I already did, sir." "Everything is working normally. Then it must be natural phenomena. This system has many large asteroids. Sometimes their gravity fields can cause false readings." The sensor operator looked uncertain but said nothing more. Zephyr had seen many strange things in deep space. Equipment sometimes detected things that were not really there. A few hours later, they received a message from the Galactic Council headquarters. Zephyr read it on his private screen. The message was routine but important. The Council was planning to reduce observation of human space. With so many other species causing problems in different parts of the galaxy, they needed their ships elsewhere. It makes sense, Zephyr thought. The humans had been peaceful for 200 years. They followed all galactic laws and paid their taxes on time. They never caused diplomatic problems or started wars with their neighbors. The Krex Confederacy was a different story. They had been expanding aggressively into neutral space, claiming that they needed more resources for their growing population. Several smaller species had complained to the Council about Krex military exercises near their borders. Then, there were the trade disputes between the Valdari Empire and the Consortium of Free Worlds. Both sides accused each other of stealing technology and breaking treaties. Council mediators had been working for months to prevent open conflict. Compared to all these problems, the humans seemed completely harmless. They stayed in their assigned sector and bothered no one. Their technology was simple but reliable. Their leaders were polite, but rarely participated in major galactic politics. "Prepare to leave this system," Zephyr ordered his crew. "We have other areas to patrol." As his ship turned away from the human mining operation, Zephyr took one last look at the asteroid field. The human ships continued their slow, methodical work. They had been doing the same thing for decades and would probably continue for decades more. What Zephyr did not know was that Captain Williams was not really a mining ship captain. His real name was Colonel David Chen, and he commanded one of humanity's most important military installations. The mining station was actually a heavily armed fortress built inside a large asteroid. The tired, dirty man who had given the boring daily report was one of the best military strategists in human space. The iron ore and copper, he reported, were actually advanced weapons components and armor plating for humanity's secret projects. As Zephyr's ship disappeared into faster-than-light travel, Colonel Chen activated a secure communication channel. "Observer vessel has left the system," he reported. "All clear for the next supply run." Somewhere in the darkness between the stars, massive shapes began to move. They looked like rogue planets, dark and lifeless rocks drifting through the void. To any casual observer, they were exactly what they appeared to be: dead worlds that had been thrown out of their solar systems billions of years ago. But inside those dark shells, millions of humans worked in vast underground cities. Factories that could build entire fleets operated in shifts around the clock. Weapons that could crack planets charged slowly from massive power sources. And in the command centers, military leaders planned for the day when humanity would no longer need to hide its true strength. The galaxy saw humans as simple miners and farmers, barely worth watching. That was exactly what humanity wanted them to think. For 200 years, they had been playing the role of a weak, primitive species. But behind that mask, they had been building something the galaxy had never seen before. The Galactic Council believed they knew everything about human capabilities. Their intelligence reports were detailed and confident, but those reports only covered what humanity allowed them to see. The real human civilization existed in the empty spaces between stars, in the dark places where no one thought to look. As Colonel Chen finished his false mining report and shut down the transmission, he smiled. Tomorrow would bring another day of pretending to be weak and helpless, but he knew that somewhere in the void, humanity's true fleet was growing stronger. The galaxy had made a mistake when they gave humans the worthless parts of space. They never imagined that humans would find ways to turn worthless into powerful. Dead rocks became hidden fortresses. Empty space became the perfect place to build in secret. And soon, very soon, the galaxy would learn what humanity had really been doing for the past 200 years. Dr. Sarah Chen floated in zero gravity as she looked out at the most secret place in human space. Through the thick window of her observation deck, she could see the vast interior of what had once been a dead planet. Now it was humanity's greatest achievement. The planet had no name in any galactic database. It was just another rogue world, thrown out of its solar system millions of years ago. To anyone watching from outside, it still looked like a cold, lifeless rock drifting through the darkness between stars. But inside, the planet was very much alive. Massive tunnels carved through the planet's core glowed with artificial light. Transport ships moved through corridors that were dozens of miles wide. In the distance, Sarah could see the huge fusion reactors that powered this hidden world. Each reactor was the size of a city and produced more energy than most star systems used in a year. Director Chen, "The construction report is ready," said her assistant, Commander Lisa Park. Sarah pushed herself away from the window and floated to her desk. The report was thick with technical details, but the summary was simple. Humanity had been building planet-sized warships for 150 years, and they were almost ready. The project had started small. When humans first received faster-than-light travel from the Galactic Council, their scientists had immediately begun studying the technology. They learned that most alien species only looked for planets near stars. The empty space between systems was considered worthless. That gave humanity an idea. Rogue planets were everywhere in the galaxy. These were worlds that had been knocked out of their orbits and now drifted alone through space. They were dark and cold, with no energy signatures that would show up on long-range sensors, perfect for hiding things. The first project had taken 30 years. Human engineers had to learn how to hollow out a planet without making it collapse. They had to figure out how to install massive engines that could move something the size of a world. Most difficult of all, they had to do it without anyone noticing. "How many ships are operational?" Sarah asked. 53 planet ships are fully ready for combat, Lisa reported. Another 27 are still under construction. The newest ones are much more advanced than the early models. Sarah nodded. Each planet ship was unique because human technology had improved over the decades. The first ones were basically hollow worlds with big guns and engines. The newer ones were complete civilizations that could survive for centuries without outside support. Terra Invicta was the flagship, and Sarah was proud of what they had accomplished. The planet ship had a population of 12 million humans living in cities built inside the former planet's crust. Its factories could build any technology that humanity had ever developed. Its weapons could destroy entire fleets, but most importantly, Terra Invicta looked exactly like a dead rock when viewed from outside. "Show me the stealth test results," Sarah said. Lisa activated a holographic display. It showed Terra Invicta as it would appear to different types of sensors. To optical telescopes, it looked like a dark, cratered planet. To energy detectors, it showed no signs of life or technology. Even gravity sensors would only detect the mass of a normal planet. "The new stealth coating is working perfectly," Lisa explained. "We can hide the heat signatures from our cities and factories. The artificial gravity systems are completely shielded. Even if someone flew right next to us, their sensors would not detect anything unusual." This was the key to humanity's strategy. Every other species in the galaxy lived on planets near stars. They built their cities on the surface where everyone could see them. They mined asteroids and gas giants that were easy to find and monitor. Humans had taken a different approach. They had moved their most important installations to places where no one would think to look. Rogue planets, large asteroids in deep space, and even some gas giants on the edge of solar systems, all hidden from casual observation. The regular human colonies that the galaxy watched were real, but they were not the whole story. Those surface colonies were like the tip of an iceberg. Most of humanity's civilization was hidden beneath, in places where alien sensors could not detect it. "What about our manufacturing capacity?" Sarah asked. "We are now producing more advanced technology than any known galactic civilization," Lisa said with pride. "Our planet ships can build their own fleets. Each one carries enough industrial equipment to establish new colonies or build more weapons." Sarah smiled. This had been the plan from the beginning. Humanity would accept their role as a minor species while secretly building the most powerful military force in galactic history. The beer idea had come from Earth's military strategists shortly after first contact with alien species. They had studied galactic politics and realized that every species made the same mistake. They assumed that technological development happened at a steady, predictable rate, but humans were different. They had always been good at adapting and improving existing technology. When they received basic faster-than-light travel, human scientists had not just copied it. They had studied it, understood it, and then made it better. The same thing happened with every piece of alien technology that humans encountered. They would quietly improve it, then keep the improvements secret. Over 200 years, these small advances had added up to something revolutionary. "Have there been any problems with our cover operations?" Sarah asked. "No, Director. The mining reports and colony updates are all being filed on schedule. As far as the Galactic Council knows, humanity is expanding slowly and peacefully into their assigned systems. This was another crucial part of the plan. Humans had to appear weak and non-threatening while they built their hidden fleet. The boring mining reports that species like Commander Thane received were carefully designed to be uninteresting. But those same mining operations were actually collecting rare materials needed for planet ship construction. The slow, careful expansion that looked primitive to other species was actually a methodical buildup of hidden military bases. Sarah looked at the tactical display showing the locations of all human planet ships. They were scattered throughout human space and beyond, positioned so they could respond quickly to threats from any direction. Some were hidden in asteroid fields. Others drifted in the empty space between star systems. A few had even been positioned in neutral zones disguised as natural objects. "What is the status of our intelligence operations?" Sarah asked. "Excellent. We have monitoring stations throughout Galactic Council space. Most are disguised as small trade posts or mining operations. We know more about alien military capabilities than they know about their own neighbors." This was perhaps humanity's greatest advantage. While other species focused on building bigger weapons and conquering more territory, humans had focused on information. They knew the strengths and weaknesses of every major galactic power. The Krex Confederacy had powerful ships but poor coordination between their fleets. The Valdari Empire had advanced technology, but had grown lazy and overconfident. The smaller species had various specialties, but lacked the resources for major military operations. None of them had ever considered the possibility that a primitive species might be watching them and learning from their mistakes. "Director, we have a priority message from Captain Rivera," Lisa announced. Captain Marcus Rivera commanded Terra Invicta, and he was one of the few people who knew the full scope of humanity's preparations. Sarah activated the secure communication channel. "Dr. Chen, we have detected unusual Krex military activity near the border of human space," Rivera reported. "Their fleet movements suggest they may be planning some kind of operation." Sarah frowned. The Krex had been increasingly aggressive lately, testing the defenses of smaller species. If they decided to attack human colonies, it might be time to reveal humanity's true capabilities. "Keep monitoring the situation," Sarah ordered. "If they cross into human space with hostile intent, we will be ready." After ending the communication, Sarah looked back out at the vast interior of their hidden world. For 150 years, humanity had worked in secret to build something unprecedented, planet-sized warships that could move between star systems and carry entire civilizations with them. The galaxy thought they knew what humans were capable of. They were about to learn how wrong they had been. Admiral Korath stood in the war room of his flagship, studying the holographic display that showed human space. The Krex military had been planning this operation for months. It was time to test their new biological weapons, and the humans would make perfect test subjects. "Remind me why we chose the humans," said General Vex, his second in command. "They are weak," Korath replied. "Category 7 species with primitive technology. Their ships are slow and their weapons are basic. Most importantly, no one in the galaxy will care if we eliminate a few human colonies." The plan was simple. The Krex would attack what their intelligence identified as humanity's primary agricultural world. The planet produced food for several other human colonies, so destroying it would cause widespread suffering. Perfect for testing how their new bioweapons affected human physiology. "Our spies report that the target planet has minimal defenses," General Vex said. "A few orbital platforms and some patrol ships. Nothing that can threaten our battle fleet," Korath nodded. He had brought 200 warships for this operation. It was far more than needed to destroy one human farming world, but he wanted to make sure the test went smoothly. The Krex Confederacy needed good data on how their weapons performed against different species. "Begin the attack," Korath ordered. The Krex fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the human system. Their sensors immediately detected the target planet and its small defense force. Everything looked exactly as their intelligence had predicted. "Sir, the humans are transmitting a surrender offer," reported the communications officer. "Ignore it," Korath said. "We are not here to accept surrender. Begin bombardment of the orbital platforms." The Krex ships opened fire with their plasma cannons. The human orbital platforms exploded quickly, their simple shields no match for advanced Krex weapons. The human patrol ships tried to fight back but were easily destroyed. "Pathetic," General Vex commented. "This is almost too easy." But as the Krex fleet moved closer to the planet, something unexpected happened. The humans began transmitting on all frequencies, sending what appeared to be coordinate data to unknown recipients. "Who are they talking to?" Korath asked. "Unknown, sir. There are no other human ships in this system." Korath frowned but continued the attack. The human planet's surface was protected by some kind of energy shield, but it looked primitive compared to Krex technology. They would break through it soon enough. Meanwhile, on the planet's surface, General Rebecca Walsh watched the battle from her command bunker. The bunker was built deep underground and protected by layers of armor that the Krex could not detect. Around her, human military officers coordinated the planet's real defenses. "Phase 1 is complete," reported Colonel Martinez. "The Krex have destroyed our fake orbital platforms and committed their full fleet to the attack." "Good," Rebecca said. "Activate the real planetary shields." On the planet's surface, massive generators that had been hidden underground suddenly came online. A powerful energy barrier surrounded the entire world, far stronger than anything the Krex had expected. Admiral Korath stared at his tactical display in confusion. The human planet was now protected by shields that registered as military-grade equipment. This was not supposed to be possible. General, our intelligence was wrong, he told Vex. This planet has advanced defensive systems. How advanced? Vex asked. Before Korath could answer, their sensors detected something else. At the edge of the star system, space itself seemed to be bending. Gravity readings were going crazy, as if something massive was approaching at impossible speed. Sir, we are detecting a large gravitational anomaly, the sensor operator reported. Something is coming toward us, but I cannot identify what it is. Show me, Korath ordered. The main display switched to long-range sensors. At first, there seemed to be nothing there except empty space. Then the computer enhanced the image, and Korath saw something that made no sense. A planet was moving through space under its own power. It was accelerating directly toward their position, traveling faster than most starships. The massive world was dark and cratered, but it was definitely moving with purpose. That is impossible, General Vex said. Planets do not move like that. On the planet's surface, General Walsh smiled as she watched the tactical display. Terra Invicta had arrived exactly on schedule. Open a channel to all Krek ships, she ordered. When the communication link was established, Rebecca's face appeared on screens throughout the Krek's fleet. She was wearing the uniform of a human military general, not the simple clothes of a farmer that their intelligence had expected. Attention, Krek's Confederacy, she said in a calm, clear voice. You have attacked human civilians without provocation. This aggression will not be tolerated. Admiral Korath was confused. You are farmers. You have no military. You are mistaken, Rebecca replied. We are not farmers. This is a fortress world, and you have just walked into a trap. As if to prove her point, the approaching planet suddenly changed. Its dark surface began to glow with energy patterns. Massive sections of the planetary crust opened like giant doors, revealing weapon systems inside. Captain Marcus Rivera sat in the command center of Terra Invicta, watching as his ship prepared for combat. The planet ship had been traveling through deep space for 3 days to reach this system. Now it was time to show the galaxy what humanity had really been building. All weapon systems online, reported his tactical officer. Gravitational cannons are charged and ready. Target the Krek's flagship, Rivera ordered. Let us give them a demonstration. Terra Invicta's main weapon was unlike anything else in the galaxy. Instead of using energy beams or projectiles, it used controlled gravity fields to tear enemy ships apart. The weapon focused on Admiral Korath's flagship and fired. The effect was devastating. The massive Krek's battleship began to stretch and deform as artificial gravity grabbed it from multiple directions. Within seconds, the ship was pulled apart like a piece of clay in the hands of a giant. Admiral Korath managed to escape in a smaller ship, but most of his crew were not so lucky. As he watched his flagship disintegrate, he realized that everything the Kreks knew about human capabilities was wrong. All ships, retreat, he ordered. We are facing unknown technology. But Terra Invicta was not finished. The planet ship's surface opened in dozens of places, revealing launch bays that had been hidden beneath the artificial crust. Thousands of human fighter ships poured out, each one more advanced than anything in the Krek's fleet. At the same time, massive gun turrets emerged from the planet's surface. These weapons were the size of skyscrapers and fired projectiles that could penetrate any known armor. The Krek ships found themselves under attack from weapons they had never imagined. Sir, our ships are being destroyed faster than they can retreat, General Vex reported. We are facing a planet-sized battleship. Korath could see that for himself. Half of his fleet was already gone, and Terra Invicta had barely begun to fight. The planet ship was using gravity weapons to crush his vessels while its fighter squadrons picked off the survivors. Send a message to Krek's headquarters, Korath ordered. Tell them we have encountered a new type of human technology. They have weaponized an entire planet. As the message was transmitted, Terra Invicta demonstrated another capability. The planet ship used its gravity generators to create a small artificial black hole near the center of the Krek's fleet. The black hole existed for only a few seconds, but it was enough to swallow a dozen enemy ships before disappearing. Captain Rivera watched the battle with satisfaction. Terra Invicta had been designed to fight entire fleets by itself, and it was performing exactly as planned. The Kreks had thought they were attacking a helpless farming world. Instead, they had found humanity's most powerful weapon. Sir, the remaining Krek ships are attempting to escape to faster-than-light speed, his tactical officer reported. "Let them go," Rivera said. "We want survivors to report what they have seen." Admiral Korath's ship was among those that escaped, though barely. As he fled the system, he sent urgent messages to every Krex command post in the galaxy. The humans were not what they appeared to be. They had technology that could turn planets into weapons. But Korath's warnings were just the beginning. As news of the battle spread through galactic communication networks, deep space monitoring stations began detecting something even more alarming. Throughout human space, massive gravitational anomalies were beginning to move. Objects the size of planets were changing course and accelerating toward Krex territory. The humans had not just built one planet ship. They had built an entire fleet of them. General Walsh received reports from across human space as more planet ships revealed themselves. For 200 years, humanity had appeared weak and primitive. Now they were showing their true strength. "Ma'am, we are detecting 47 planet ships moving toward Krex space," Colonel Martinez reported. Terra Invicta was just the beginning. Rebecca smiled. The galaxy was about to learn that giving humans the worthless parts of space had been a very big mistake. Captain Marcus Rivera stood on the command deck of Terra Invicta as his planet ship traveled through faster-than-light space toward the heart of the Krex Confederacy. Around him, his officers coordinated with the 46 other planet ships that were converging on Krex territory. "Captain, we are receiving surrender offers from 3 Krex border colonies," reported his communications officer. "Ignore them for now," Rivera said. "Our target is the Krex home fleet at their capital system." The plan was simple but devastating. While the galaxy's attention was focused on the first battle, humanity's hidden fleet had been moving into position. 50 planet ships were now surrounding Krex space, ready to demonstrate what happened when someone attacked human civilians. On the bridge of his damaged flagship, Admiral Korath watched the tactical displays with growing horror. His scouts had detected massive gravitational signatures approaching from multiple directions. Each signature was the size of a planet, and moving faster than any ship in the Krex fleet. "How many human planet ships are there?" he asked his intelligence officer. "At least 50, sir. Possibly more. They seem to be approaching from every direction." Korath had sent emergency messages to Krex Command, but the responses had been disbelief and confusion. The High Command could not accept that a primitive species had built weapons that made their own fleet look like toys. "Sir, 3 planet ships have just entered our home system," the tactical officer announced. "They are heading directly for our main fleet." The Krex home fleet was the pride of their military. 2,000 warships protected their capital world, including their newest and most powerful battleships. It was supposed to be the strongest naval force in the galaxy, but as the 3 human planet ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel, the size difference became obvious. Each planet ship was larger than the entire Krex fleet combined. They were not just weapons. They were mobile worlds carrying millions of people and enough firepower to destroy star systems. Supreme Admiral Thex commanded the Krex home fleet from his massive dreadnought. He had ruled Krex space for 30 years and had never seen anything like what was approaching his position. "Open a communication channel to the human ships," he ordered. The main screen flickered, and Captain Rivera's face appeared. Behind him, Thex could see what looked like a vast underground city with millions of lights stretching into the distance. "I am Supreme Admiral Thex of the Krex Confederacy," he announced. "You are trespassing in our territory." "No," Rivera replied calmly. "You attacked our civilians. Now you will face the consequences. Your species is Category 7. You do not have the technology to build ships like those." Rivera smiled. "Your intelligence reports were wrong. Humanity has been building these ships for 150 years. You just never bothered to look in the right places." On Terra Invicta's command deck, the tactical display showed the positions of all 3 planet ships as they surrounded the Krex home fleet. Each planet ship carried enough weapons to fight a galactic war by itself. "Sir, the Krex fleet is powering up their weapons," reported the tactical officer. "Let them," Rivera said. "Open all launch bays and prepare gravitational weapons. It is time to show them the difference between their technology and ours." The surface of Terra Invicta began to change. Massive sections of the artificial crust slid open, revealing weapon systems that dwarfed anything the Krex had ever built. Gun turrets the size of cities emerged from hidden positions. Launch bays that could hold entire fleets opened like giant mouths. But the most impressive sight was the gravitational cannons. These weapons used controlled black holes to tear apart enemy ships from the inside. When they fired, space itself seemed to bend and twist around their targets. Supreme Admiral Thex watched in horror as Terra Invicta demonstrated its power. The first shot from a gravitational cannon struck his newest battleship. The massive vessel was simply crushed, compressed into a ball of metal and then scattered into space dust. All ships concentrate fire on the lead planet, Thex ordered. 2,000 Krex warships opened fire simultaneously. Their plasma cannons and missile launchers sent enough firepower to destroy most planets. But Terra Invicta was not most planets. The energy shield surrounding the planet ship absorbed the attack without visible effect. The artificial surface showed no damage at all. It was like throwing rocks at a mountain. "Sir, our weapons are having no effect," reported the tactical officer. "That is impossible," Thex shouted. "Nothing can withstand that much firepower." Captain Rivera watched the Krex attack with mild interest. Terra Invicta had been designed to fight entire galactic alliances. The Krex fleet was powerful by normal standards, but not compared to a planet-sized warship. "Return fire," Rivera ordered. "Show them what real weapons look like." Terra Invicta's response was devastating. Gravitational cannons reached out across space and began systematically destroying Krex ships. Each shot was perfectly aimed, turning advanced battleships into scrap metal in seconds. At the same time, the planet ship's fighter bays opened and released clouds of small attack craft. There were so many fighters that they looked like swarms of insects pouring out of the planet's surface. Each fighter was equipped with weapons more advanced than anything on a Krex battleship. The other two planet ships joined the attack. They used different weapon systems, demonstrating the variety of technologies that humanity had developed. One ship fired projectiles the size of skyscrapers at near light speed. The other created artificial gravity wells that pulled entire squadrons of enemy ships together before crushing them. Supreme Admiral Thex realized that his fleet was being destroyed without any hope of fighting back. The human planet ships were not just larger than his vessels. They were centuries more advanced. "Send a surrender message," he ordered. "Sir, they are not responding to our communications," the communications officer reported. That was because Captain Rivera had no intention of accepting surrender. The Krex had attacked human civilians to test biological weapons. They needed to understand that such actions had consequences. "Target their capital ships first," Rivera told his tactical officer. "Leave some of the smaller vessels intact so they can report what happened here." The battle lasted only 20 minutes. When it was over, the Krex home fleet no longer existed. 2,000 of their best warships had been reduced to floating debris. Only a few dozen small ships remained, their crews paralyzed with shock. Rivera finally opened a communication channel to the surviving ships. "Attention, Krex survivors. You attacked human colonies without provocation. Your home fleet has been destroyed as a consequence. Tell your leaders that humanity is no longer hiding its true capabilities." The message was transmitted throughout Krex space and beyond. Within hours, every major power in the galaxy knew that something fundamental had changed. The humans were not the primitive species they had appeared to be. Commander Zephyr Thane received the news while patrolling a distant sector for the Veldari Empire. He watched the battle footage with growing amazement. The same humans he had dismissed as harmless miners had just destroyed the second largest fleet in the galaxy. "Sir, we are receiving new orders from Veldari Command," his communications officer announced. Zephyr read the orders with interest. The Veldari Empire wanted immediate intelligence on human capabilities. All previous assessments were to be considered worthless. Humanity was now classified as a potential galactic superpower. But the most important part of the orders was the instruction to avoid any hostile actions toward human territory. The Veldari had no desire to face the same fate as the Krex home fleet. On Terra Invicta, Captain Rivera received reports from planet ships throughout the galaxy. The hidden human fleet was revealing itself system by system. Rogue planets that had drifted unnoticed for centuries were suddenly showing their true nature as mobile battle stations. "Sir, we have confirmed 47 planet ships operational and ready for combat," his tactical officer reported. "Another 23 are still completing their activation sequences," Rivera nodded. 70 planet ships would be more than enough to reshape galactic politics. Each one carried a complete human civilization, and enough firepower to fight major wars independently. But more importantly, the galaxy now knew that humanity had been playing a much deeper game than anyone suspected. For 200 years they had appeared weak while building the most powerful military force in galactic history. "Set course for the galactic core," Rivera ordered. "It is time to visit the Galactic Council and introduce ourselves properly." As Terra Invicta changed course toward the center of the galaxy, Captain Rivera looked out at the stars and smiled. The age of hiding was over. Humanity was ready to take its place as a major galactic power, and they had done it all with weapons built from the worthless parts of space that other species had given them. Dead planets had become mobile fortresses. Empty space had become the perfect place to build in secret. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for the last time. The Galactic Council emergency session was unlike anything in recorded history. Representatives from 43 species gathered in the Great Chamber on Nexus Prime, but their attention was focused on the massive display screens showing tactical information from across the galaxy. Ambassador Elena Vasquez stood at the speaker's podium, representing humanity for the first time in a major council session. She was a small woman with gray hair, but her presence filled the enormous chamber. Behind her, the screen showed images of 70 planet-sized warships scattered throughout galactic space. "Honorable representatives," Elena began in a calm voice, "I am here to address recent concerns about human military capabilities." The chamber erupted in angry voices. The Krex representative, Admiral Korath, stood and pointed an accusing finger at Elena. "Your species destroyed our home fleet. 2,000 ships." "Yes," Elena replied simply. "You attacked our civilians to test biological weapons. Did you expect us to do nothing?" High Counselor Vorthak of the Valdari Empire leaned forward in his seat. "Ambassador Vasquez, our intelligence reports indicated that humanity was a Category 7 species with primitive technology. How do you explain planet-sized warships?" Elena smiled. "Your intelligence reports were wrong because you only looked where you expected to find things. For 200 years you watched our colonies on habitable worlds while ignoring what we were building in the empty spaces between stars." She gestured to the display screens, which now showed detailed images of human planet ships. Each one looked like a natural rogue planet from the outside, but the scans revealed the massive cities and weapon systems hidden within. "When you gave humanity the worthless parts of the galaxy, you made two assumptions," Elena continued. "First, you assumed that dead planets and empty space had no value. Second, you assumed we would build our civilization the same way you built yours." The chamber fell silent as representatives studied the images. They could see vast underground cities inside the planet ships, with populations numbering in the millions. Factories that could produce entire fleets. Weapon systems that made their own military technology look primitive. "How long have you been building these ships?" asked Counselor Nexon of the Free Worlds Consortium. 150 years, Elena answered. "We began construction shortly after receiving faster-than-light technology from this council. The implications were staggering. While the galaxy had been focused on other conflicts and political disputes, humanity had been quietly building the most powerful military force in known space." Commander Zephyr Thane sat in the observer section, remembering his encounters with human mining operations. All those boring reports about iron ore and copper extraction, all those simple, primitive-looking ships moving slowly between asteroids. Now he understood that every mining operation had been a cover for military construction. The humans had been collecting rare materials needed for planet ship systems. Their slow, methodical expansion had actually been the careful positioning of hidden bases and supply lines. "Where are these planet ships now?" High Counselor Vorthak demanded. Elena activated a new display that showed the current positions of all 70 human planet ships. They were spread throughout the galaxy, with several positioned near the capital systems of major powers. "They are protecting human interests," Elena said, "and ensuring that what happened to the Krex home fleet does not happen to us." The threat was clear. Humanity now had the power to destroy any civilization in the galaxy, but Elena's next words were even more shocking. "However, we are not interested in conquest or domination. We propose a new arrangement." She activated another display showing economic and trade data. "For 200 years, humanity has been developing technologies in secret. We are now prepared to share some of these advances with species that treat us as equals." The chamber buzzed with conversation. as representatives discussed the implications. Humanity was offering to trade advanced technology in exchange for recognition as a major galactic power. "What kind of technology?" asked the representative from the Axiom Collective. Elena smiled. "Gravitational manipulation, advanced energy systems, manufacturing techniques that can turn asteroids into starships, medical technology that can extend lifespans by centuries. These were revolutionary advances that could change entire civilizations. The fact that humanity was willing to share them suggested they had even more advanced systems they were keeping secret." Dr. Sarah Chen watched the council session from her command center inside Terra Invicta. The planet ship was positioned just outside the Nexus Prime system, close enough to demonstrate human power, but far enough to avoid appearing threatening. "How are the other species responding?" she asked her intelligence officer. "Mixed reactions," Colonel Park reported. "The Valdari Empire is already sending diplomatic messages requesting trade negotiations. Several smaller species are asking for protection agreements. The Kreks are demanding reparations for their destroyed fleet." Sarah laughed at the last point. "The Kreks attacked us to test biological weapons and now they want reparations? Ambassador Vasquez has made it clear that will not be happening," Park said. Back in the council chamber, Elena was fielding questions about humanity's long-term intentions. Many representatives were worried that humans would use their new power to dominate the galaxy, like previous superpowers had done. "We have no interest in ruling other species," Elena assured them. "But we will not tolerate attacks on human civilians. We will not accept being treated as a primitive, inferior species, and we will defend our interests with whatever force is necessary." To emphasize her point, the display screens showed new images from deep space. Human construction ships were converting asteroids into mobile shipyards. Gas giants were being turned into fuel refineries. And in the darkest regions between star systems, more rogue planets were being hollowed out for conversion into warships. "This is just the beginning," Elena said. "Humanity's true infrastructure is not the colonies you can see. It is the shadow civilization we have built in the spaces you consider empty and worthless." High Counselor Vorthak realized the full scope of what humanity had accomplished. They had not just built a fleet of planet ships, they had created an entire hidden civilization that could survive and expand without depending on traditional planets or star systems. "How many planet ships will you eventually build?" he asked. Elena considered the question carefully. "As many as necessary to ensure human security and prosperity. We have identified several thousand suitable rogue planets throughout the galaxy." The number sent shockwaves through the chamber. Several thousand planet ships would make humanity the dominant military power in galactic history. No alliance of species would be able to challenge them. But Elena was not finished. "However, we prefer cooperation to conflict. Species that work with us will benefit from our technology and protection. Species that attack us will face the consequences." Over the following hours, the council session transformed from an emergency meeting into a negotiation session. Representatives began making offers for trade agreements, defense pacts, and technology exchanges. The Valdari Empire offered to share their advanced sensor technology in exchange for human gravitational manipulation systems. The Free Worlds Consortium requested protection from Krek's aggression. Even some of the smaller species began proposing joint colonization projects in previously unexplored regions. Captain Rivera watched these negotiations from Terra Invicta's command center. Humanity had achieved in one day what most species took centuries to accomplish. They had gone from being ignored to being the most important power in galactic politics. "Sir, we are receiving reports from planet ships throughout human space," his communications officer announced. "All systems are operating normally. No hostile actions detected from any galactic powers," Rivera nodded. The threat of 70 planet ships had been enough to prevent any immediate retaliation. Now humanity could focus on building their new position in galactic society. But the most important achievement was not military or political. Elena had ended her speech to the council with words that would be remembered for generations. For 200 years, the galaxy saw humanity as simple miners and farmers who were content with the scraps of space you gave us. You never imagined that we would find ways to turn those scraps into weapons. You underestimated our ability to adapt, to improve, and to build something greater than the sum of its parts. She paused and looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of representatives from dozens of species. You gave us the dark, Empty spaces between stars because you thought they were worthless. We turned them into our greatest strength. You gave us dead planets because you thought they could never support life. We turned them into mobile worlds that carry our entire civilization. The final image on the display screens showed Terra Invicta in all its glory. The planet ship's surface was open, revealing the vast cities and industrial complexes within. Millions of lights sparkled in the artificial atmosphere, and transport ships moved through corridors that were miles wide. This is what humanity built in the spaces you ignored, Elena concluded. And this is just the beginning of what we can accomplish when the galaxy stops underestimating us.